Just like you, before putting a power steering pump on this 7.3 Powerstroke, I went to YouTube to see what I could find. The only issue I found is every video showed taking the alternator off, removing the subframe to access the power steering pump. I think there's an easier way, and I know there is because I've already put one on it, but it was a bad pump. So rather than remove this subframe with a pump on it and taking it out to the bench, what I've done is I removed the charge air pipe going to the intercooler, which allows you enough room to do it. As you see with this puller, I do have room to take the pulley off. I've already got the belt off. And so next let's take this intercooler pipe off, and that'll give us plenty of room to get this power steering pump off. We're going to have two clamps, one right here and one right down here below your battery box. They're probably metric, but a 7/16 seems to work just fine. After removing the intercooler pipe, you'll see that you have plenty of room to get to the back of the power steering pump. There's a hose down there. You can barely see the clip. That gives us room to get to our fitting on this side. And there's another hose coming in towards the bottom, and we can reach all three of these. Next process is to get the pulley off. Now that the pulley's off, we've got, I misspoke a minute ago, we've got three lines. We've got our power pressure line, we've got our return line coming from the hydro boost, and then there's a line in the bottom. That makes the three. So what I like to do, I like to use, see if I can do it one-handed, pull this off. I like to get it out of the way. Excuse me for my camera ship by myself today. If you don't have a set of these tools, look like needle nose, but they grip hoses, then these are invaluable. Might have to set you down for a second to get this hose off though, because it might be a two-hand process. Give me 1 second. Now that I've got that hose off, the return hose, I lay it up there. It's going to drip just a couple drops there, but we'll wipe it up real good. Now we can either do one of two things. It doesn't matter. We can either approach that back hose or this one. Let's probably take the back hose first because less chance of dirt in the pressure line. And I don't know if you can see in the video, it's right back there. I'm going to use the pliers, the straight needle nose pliers, to push that clamp down and off, and then I'm going to use these hose pliers and I'll just wiggle it down. I'll just be able to reach my arm back there and take that hose off. It's not too bad. See if I can stay steady on this. I've got the hose clamp pushed down. I'm going to take these pliers, these hose pliers, get my hose broke free. Usually I've got two hands for this. And wiggle it off the bottom. Now, the issue with that is we're draining power steering fluid. Actually in this truck ATF. I'm making a mess. I found it's about as easy. I've got hot water in the shop just to wash the truck real good afterwards than to mess with it. If you don't have a drain in the shop or hot water and soap, you may want to get a catch can and drain this system. So now, rotate you around. We've got that 18mm pressure line. Let's get that broke loose. Okay, pressure line's loose. I ended up backing that with a 15/16. It's probably metric size, but 15/16 seemed to hold it fine. Now we've got these 3 bolts holding the actual pump to the subframe, and looks like 17mm fits that. Alright, we got our bolts out, and if I can do this one-handed, it's as easy as that. There's our pump. Set that down here. It's going to lose a little bit of oil out of it. Now, I can go back the other way with you, but I don't want to make this video real long. One thing you want to make sure is replace the, let's see if I can get in here. There's a little white O-ring on this fitting. The next thing I want to tell you, I didn't say before, when you put this charge air pipe in, be sure don't over tighten it. It needs to be snug, but you don't want to tighten it too much. That's aluminum pipe, you could crush it. Now after that, after we get it all back in, let me put this in case this phone goes bad or this camera messes up, in case this video shuts off. The next thing you want to do is you want to jack the truck up before you ever start it, fill it full of fluid. These 7.3 Power Strokes use ATF, same as the transmission. And you want to take and rotate the pump by hand slowly a few times. And then you want to go into the truck and you want to work the steering wheel back and forth from lock to lock slowly, and then pump the brakes a couple times, and then you'll come out and see how much fluids went down. You want to make sure and keep it topped off. To be safe, I would do that for 15-20 minutes at least before I started this truck, because what happens is if you start this pump up dry, it won't be good on it. You'll take a lot of life off the pump. And if you don't get all the air out of the system, that's not good for the pump either, but it'll make it noisy. So let's see if I can get it put back together. Now the package comes with this larger white one and a smaller black O-ring, which was kind of confusing because where's the black one go? Well, from my research, it's just for multiple different year ranges or different trucks, so use the white one. If you're finding that this O-ring is a little bit hard to get on, it is. I used my fingers and kind of stretched it out as much as I could and got it started, and then used this pick to kind of roll it around over the threads. Biggest problem is that it wants to twist and roll on you, but it smashes it in a flare, so I don't know if it's that important. I haven't had problems with it leaking, but it is kind of a hard thing to get on square. Now that we've got our pump bolted back in, we'll hook up all three of those lines in reverse order of what we did. I usually like to start with the pressure, sorry about the finger, pressure first, then the rear, and then that one last. Alright, got the pressure line hooked up. Let's see if I can go down there and grab this hose. One-handed man today. Pull it up on there. And then we want to hook up this one right here. Let's take this cap off. Put that back down. And let me get both my clamps. I'll be right back. I'm sorry folks, the video shut off. But we had our hoses hooked up. This is the next thing we're going to do. We're going to take this and thread it into the pump, and then this actually pushes that pulley back on. Next thing we're going to do, and we can actually do that as soon as we get the fluid back in, is we're going to, get the lines hooked up, is we're going to fill it full of fluid so we can start filling up. And the next thing we're going to do, and the last thing, is put the belt on after we spin that pulley a couple times with fluid in it. Put the belt back on, and then jack the truck off the ground and work the wheels back and forth a few times. make sure you've got all the air out of the system before you fire it up. And that's all there is to it. Easy peasy. If you got something out of this, if this helped you at all, think about hitting that subscribe button, that like button, or leave a comment. And we'll see you soon. Bye.